If you want to speak on stage at South by Southwest, you're going to need to submit a proposal, and you can do that through PanelPicker. I'm going to walk you through how to submit a proposal to PanelPicker that is super strong. My name is Tracy. I'm a PR strategist, and I help experts get great speaking gigs, media coverage, and online momentum. And I'm going to walk you through how I'm filling out my own application and explain my thinking behind it. All right, so let's jump into it. So you're going to go to PanelPicker's website, and you're going to hit Get Started. And that's going to take you to one option here. You can either go South by Southwest Interactive or South by Southwest EDU. EDU is the other track that is all about education. So as a speaker, you can submit yourself or your boss to up to 2 tracks. You can do one for South by Southwest Interactive and then one for EDU. In this video, I'm going to just focus on South by Southwest Interactive. So I hit that one and then I hit save and continue. Okay, so now what it's going to take me to is a page that is basically asking me to share my personal contact information as somebody who's submitting a talk. Now, if you're doing this for your boss, you're going to want to do this page for yourself. There's going to be a screen at the end where you add a speaker, and that's going to be where you put your boss's information. Now, if you're doing this for yourself like I am, you're basically going to just add your information twice. So down at the bottom, I'm going to hit edit, and that's going to give me that page with all my contact information on here. Also note that you can edit your proposal up until the deadline, which is 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, July 26, 2026. So if you've already, put it up there, but you're like watching this video and like, ooh, I should change something, you can totally go back to that page, hit edit, and it's going to allow you to make changes to it, but you cannot make changes after that deadline. So your title. So your title is probably the most important part of your entire application. And that's because your title is what's going to draw people's eyes when this opens up to the public to vote for in August. Also, conference organizers from South by are going to be looking at these titles as well and know that they're getting hundreds and probably thousands of applications. So the title really has to stand out. Here's what I did for mine. The visibility comeback: getting back online despite fear. What I like to do in working with clients and myself is really picking a title that captures person's attention and then tells them what's in it for them. Like, what are you going to get if this talk actually comes to fruition and you're at South by in the room? So the visibility comeback, ooh, what's that? And then getting back online despite fear. So that's okay, so this is for people who have been doxxed or near canceled or attacked or trolled or just aren't online and don't know how to even get over it. Okay, so then what we do here is we pick a format, and you're going to get your talk description on the next screen. So format is super important. If you're an author with a book coming out between June 2026 and South by March 2027, I highly recommend you do this because you're going to have a leg up on the rest of us for getting in that way. You can still use your reading as a discussion, as a venue to make bigger points about your expertise, but I highly recommend that. Fireside chat is great if you are already well known, or if you have a large following, or if you are with a brand that is, really reputable. Most people are not at that level, so I wouldn't recommend that. Instead, I would recommend either a presentation or, which I'm doing in my case, which is a workshop. Now, I'm doing a workshop because I'm teaching an actual framework, how to do something. A presentation is better if you have original research, if you have a really powerful insight that speaks to something happening in culture. Think about it as more high level versus getting into the actual tactical weeds. A panel is great if you're I don't know what I want to talk about. I've only got, some ideas, but I am an expert and I have access to really cool people doing interesting things. Great. Well, then submit a panel. A core conversation is great if it's just people who are both presenting and then also interacting with the audience. A meetup is great if you're I'm a huge networker, or I just want to meet people like me around the specific interest or problem or whatever. Also great for lead gen, frankly. Podcast, you must have an existing podcast in order to be able to record it at South by. Okay, level of expertise. So how I recommend you think about this is look at similar sessions that happened this year in March 2026 that you think are yours, that you're proposing. So I went back and looked at mine. I found a couple of different people who did personal branding workshops. And then I saw that both of them were an intermediate. So that's what I selected. They also helped me understand what track to pick. Looking at those ones from last year, I was okay, so they picked workplace. I'm going to pick workplace as well. So that's what I did. And then intended audience. This is, again, several types of people or even just one type of person who would most benefit from going to your session. So in my case, it's like professionals who've gone quite online, people who were trolled, people who were attacked in the workplace, people who had a chronic illness or life happened and they just haven't been online, or they're just not sure how to put themselves back out there after an extended break. Descriptions and takeaways. Okay, so I'm going to just speak at a high level to mine. You can read it here by pausing the screen. But basically what I did here was I started the description by speaking right to the pain point that my intended audience member has. And then I explain who I am and how I had this challenge as well. And then what I am offering in this session. So I was bullied online and at work and went quiet for years, only to watch my peers leapfrog ahead of me. I developed the Visibility Comeback, a framework anyone can use to overcome fears, rewrite their narrative, and show up online in alignment with their strengths. You, the audience member, will leave with your own plan to come back online and use it to attract new opportunities like job offers, press coverage, and speaking invitations. So what I'm doing there is, again, making it all about the audience member. I'm simply stating who I am and how I came up with this framework and why I'm doing this, which gives credibility, perhaps makes an emotional connection with the audience member, but I'm really making it about them. So you need to include 3 takeaways. And it's important in designing your application to make sure that your takeaways are different from each other, because you don't want to use this valuable real estate to basically say the same thing. Some of these may not resonate with all of your audience member. They might be like, oh, I totally want number 2 and number 3, but I'm really not worried about number 1. I've just been offline because I was, sick or had to do caretaking or whatever. But other people might be like, oh my God, I just need 1. I don't really want press, but I want 1 and want 2. So that's why that's designed that way. Now, videos and other resources to support your idea. If you are already active on social media, this is a great place to share some of your most popular content. So I picked a popular TikTok that shows my skills as an educator, and I picked one of my Instagram reels that went mildly viral and put that there. I'm also going to likely put this video that will be on YouTube here as well, so the voter can see my intent behind this panel. Finally, step 5, this is where you add in your information as a speaker, or if you are doing this for somebody else, their information as a speaker. And let's say you're doing a panel, you're going to need to add individual profiles for each member of the panel. So I'm going to go ahead and hit edit to access mine. It's going to upfront ask for the speaker's contact information, again, their email, their phone number, where they live, things like that. I'm going to skip ahead of that. Here are your social media profile links. Next up, it's going to ask your location, and then it's going to ask more about your job information. So here is your job details. In my case, this is the company that I run. I'm the founder, and then I've got my bio in here. You want to make sure that the bio is tweaked for the actual session that you're proposing. So emphasize whatever it is that you need to that is going to align with the topic. I'm talking all about how I focus on expert visibility, but I'm also a former journalist, also taught marketing for many years. Qualifications, I talk about here, like why I am uniquely qualified to speak about this, because I've been on both sides of visibility. I was in the media, I ran an influencer network. I also taught marketing at the University of Chicago, and now I run a PR firm. But I've also lived the problem. I get what people are going through because I went through it myself and created a framework to help solve for that. How does the speaker contribute a diverse perspective? I just talk about how I experienced online harassment and workplace bullying firsthand and also was silenced by it. And I also talk about how most personal branding sessions are taught by people who never had to go through horrible experience of being bullied. And I bring the perspective of what that's like and how to go from zero being out public again. I also talk about being a journalist and how that provides a different lens than a traditional marketer would provide. Finally, I just share my prior speaking experience. I have a lot because I am a professional speaker. If you have never spoken professionally before, that is okay. Think about, have you done any internal talks? Have you done any panels? Have you done any podcasts? Anything that you can think of, put there. And if you have none, just say you have not had prior speaking experience. Just be honest, because honesty goes a long way. And if you do a really sincere video application, like submitting a video on that earlier resources page, that can really help overcome the fact that you've never done speaking before. Okay, I have not spoken at South by Southwest before. I do not have a book. Yes, I want to be a mentor. And sure, I will opt in to stay informed. And then I hit save changes. And then you have the agreement here. Hit that, submit application. Okay. Thank you for your submission. We will review it and send an email with next steps. If I want to go back and edit it, I can go back and edit it. And that's it. You've absolutely got this. If you've got any questions, leave a comment or feel free to DM me on social, and I will do my best to try and answer it. You've got this.